Hey, how are you today? This is Auntie Nat's Crochet. Glad you chose this video. Allow me to teach you how to play with yarn. I have hundreds of videos, so do subscribe to my channel. The subscribe button is at this corner over here. It will mean a lot to me. In this particular video, I'm going to make a sandwich. I came across this yarn. You see the color? It looks quite like white braid. So I thought that maybe this would make a good braid. And this sandwich, I'm gonna have some greens for the lettuce, some brown for the meat, some red for the ketchup, and some yellow yarn. So if you can, you try and get all the yarns of the same thickness. But if you can't, it's still okay. I think the sandwich would still turn out right. And I am going to use 3.5 mm hook. So let the fun begin. Okay, before I start, let me show you what I've done. I made the braid, but this is on purpose. This corner is missing because someone took a bite. And you see the thickness between this and this. This yarn is kind of fine, it's quite thin. So once I did the braid, it turns out to be this thin. So I think it would not look nice on sandwich, because if your bread is as thin as your meat and all that, it doesn't look nice. So I made two of it and sew them together like this. So the bread now has a bit of a volume. See, the bread is kind of thick now. Now I sew it together, means I make two of this. I made two of this and I sew it together. Now why sewing and instead of making single crochet all around? So when I make single crochet all around, the edge here still looks thin because it looks like one. We're gonna join these two and you're gonna get like this one single crochet here all around. So it still look kind of thin to me, because from the side wheel I want the braid to look thick. So I just sew, and when I sew, I just put my needle in between here, so that all this you can still see there's two lines, which makes it kind of thick, in my opinion. I mean, if you do not want to do this, you can still leave it like this, just one piece. This is a very thin slice of braid. Compared to this, which would you prefer? And it also depends on the yarn you're using. If you do not have this type of yarn, which it turns out quite thin, you can use normal cotton yarn. But if you use cotton yarn, your braid will turn out to be quite thick. And when that happens, you do not need to sew two braids together to make it thick. Okay, so you don't have to follow exactly. You just follow this pattern. Then it's entirely up to you how you want to make the braid to be thick, whether you want to be thick or not thick. So it depends on the type of yarn you're using. So now I'm going to make another piece of this, and I'm going to sew and show you how I sew it to this before I start to do all the rest of the stuff, you know, the meat and the ketchup and the everything. So let's start now. This is pretty easy, it's quite straightforward. You just grab your hook. I'm using a 3.5 mm hook. You make a knot. You start by making a knot. So once you have this knot, chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So I have 10 stitches here. Then I'm going to go to the second stitch from the hook. This is the hook. This is the first stitch. This is the second stitch. You go to this second stitch. If you can, put your hook here, where, if you can see this, once I put my hook here, I will have 2 strands on top and 1 strand at the bottom. If you can't, it's okay. You can still grab this, you know, some grab here, some grab here, then you won't create a hole, but I prefer to grab here. So this is 1, 2, all the way, and then you should have 9 of it. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. That's how it look like. Single crochet across. So you have 9 stitches here, and I turn my work. Your hook is here. Turn it this way. You always turn this way. Once you turn your work, you will find you still have 1 stitch here. And can you see this stitch here? This is the first stitch. So normally people would chain 1 before they turn. I do not want to chain 1, so I just turn my work. Means the last stitch here, you don't have to chain 1, you just turn your work, and your first single crochet should be on this first stitch, this very first stitch. And when you go to the end, you would still have 9 stitches, and I did not chain 1. Firstly, you would save a little bit of yarn by not chaining 1, and also the edge comes out way better for me, I think. So you make sure every row you have 9 stitches, because you do not want to miss any of it, because this last stitch is critical. It's always it's slant one side that does not look like a stitch. So count your stitch, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 there, 2, 4, 6. Okay, and you see I did not do a chain 1, and this is what happens. I didn't do a chain 1, so you don't have a bulging thing, unless of course you chain 1 and you pull nicely tightly, then you don't have that, you know when you chain 1 you have that loop. Is that what you call it? So it comes out nice, the edge, even this thin piece, it comes out nicely. So now this is the second row. I am going to do 7 rows of single crochet, just single crochet. So I'll come back to you once I'm at the end of row 7. Just do single crochet, or if you do not want row 7, you can do more. Row 7 will come out like this. So how do I know this is row 7? You can see here, this is the same size, 2, 4, 6, and 7. This one is 2. If you take a look from this side, this is 1. Can you see this is shorter? Then this is a 2. 1, 2, 3. So this is 2, 4, 6, and this is 7. Or you can do up to the length that you want, but whatever you do, just measure it against the first braid, just in case. Okay, it looks the same, then you stop, because not many know how to count this line, they can't see. So I'll come back to you once I'm at the end of row 7. Oh yeah, no chain 1. Just turn the work, go to this first stitch, and do single crochet, and make sure you have 9 stitches. If you do not have 9 stitches, it should be this last one here that you miss. Oh, I think I did 8 rows instead of 7. 2, 4, 6, 8. And you see this is 2. If you look at it this way, this is the shorter one, so 2, 4, 6, then 8. Or you can measure it against the first piece. Even though you did not join it together, you would still have another piece. You know, your sandwich, if you have 2 braid. So you just measure against your braid and see if it's the same size. Yep, it's 8, not 7, I mentioned wrongly. So now let me show you how you turn to make that bite. I mean, this length is up to you, whether you want to make 7 rows or 8 or 9, how long you want your braid to be. But now I'm showing you the part where it took a bite, okay? So now let's say you have come to the length that you want. Let me see. Okay, this is the length that I want. From here, you turn your work. You go to this first stitch here. Wait, too tight, wait, okay. You go to this first stitch here. You start to do single crochet. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, you do 6 single crochet. Then the next stitch, I'm going to do a slip stitch. You do a slip stitch. You turn your work. Once you turn your work, this is your first stitch, your second stitch, and then third. So skip this first stitch, go straight to the second stitch, and make a slip stitch. So it makes the braid kind of slant this way. Then I'm going to do 5 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, excuse me. Okay, now at this point, turn your work. Go to this first stitch here, or start from here. 1, 2, 3, and 4. After this 4 stitch, the next stitch you're going to do a slip stitch. Then you're going to turn the work. You're going to skip the first one, go straight to the second one and do a slip stitch. Then you're going to do a single crochet. So you should have 1, 2, it's too tight here, and 3. Make sure you go through both loops. 3. Okay, then turn your work. On this first stitch here, 1 single crochet, 2 single crochet, and 3 single crochet. And on top of this slip stitch, I'm going to do a single crochet increase. You get both loops of it. Make sure you have 2 loops here. Then you do single crochet increase. Increase means 2 single crochet into the same stitch, like this, so that it will kind of curl back. It looks more like a bite. And here I am going to cut the yarn. so that I can sew it onto the other piece, because my braid turns out to be quite thin, too thin. So I'm going to sew this onto here. Okay, I'm gonna put the two pieces together. I don't really bother whether which is the front or which is the back. If you do, then you know, you just take note. I don't really bother, so long you just hide the tail in the on the inside. Actually, there's no front or back to this. Oh, okay, let me make one stitch here. So that this single crochet doesn't look like it's opening up like this. Okay, then I work my way up here again. Then I'm gonna stitch it together like how you do the granny square. If you have done granny square, you know, I'm going to do like this. Why? Because I want to see the thickness. I want to see the braid has some volume. If you do single crochet all around, you're not going to get this. You only get this. You get to see one line of this, but like this, it looks like the braid is kind of thick to me. So it's entirely up to you. If you think you want to do single crochet all around, you can. If you're lazy to sew, you do not like sewing, then just do single crochet all around. And the sides here, I just I don't really follow rules. So long it's joined together, I don't really mind. Just join wherever you can, like this. Just join it together. And I prefer to sew this onto, I'm going to sew the whole sandwich together, so I'm not going to use glue. If you want, you can. So meaning that after this, I'm going to do the meat and the lettuce and the cheese or whatever that you're gonna put in, and I'm gonna sew them together to make a sandwich. I'll show you later how I'm gonna sew it, but I am not going to glue it. So if you want to glue it, you can. That's why here I have quite a long tail. I hope this is enough to sew the whole sandwich together. So once I am done with this, once I sew it all around, the balance here, I still keep it to sew the whole sandwich together. So which means now you're gonna make you make your meat and your cheese and lettuce and all that. All this color, whatever color that you plan to put inside your sandwich, you're gonna do the same pattern. It's just that the edge will be slightly different. You want the cheese to chuck out more from the braid, do one more row. You want the ketchup to drip, I'll show you how I do the drip later on. And the meat, if you want it to be the same size, then you do the exact same thing like this. So which means you do 4 of these with these colors. So this one is okay to be thin because you have a thin slice of cheese and a thin slice of meat, or you want a meat to be thicker, and you do like this, 2 of it, then join together. So I come back to you once I have all these done in this manner, and I'll show you how I do the edge. What's the difference between the cheese and the lettuce and the ketchup. So let me get all this done first, then I'll come back to you. Okay, this is what I've done so far. The two thick bread, and I have the meat and the cheese, which they are all exactly the same size. Okay. But now with the lettuce, I am going to do slightly different. I do not want the lettuce to be squarish. I want it to be almost like a lettuce. Because in reality you will never get a square lettuce that fits your bread exactly. So what I'm going to do is just grab some green yarn and start with a knot. You make a knot, and after the knot I'm going to chain 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can chain 10, you can chain 9, you can chain 11, you can let the lettuce chuck out all the way, it's okay. There's no fixed rule to this. This is art. To me, this is art. It's like holding a color pencil and just color however you like it. So I'm going to do half double crochet because it's way faster than single crochet. It's slightly taller. And I am going to do 2 rows of this half double crochet because this lettuce will be inside the braid. It'll be hidden, so no worry. Even though it turns out not really nice, it doesn't matter. Just want the sides to chuck out the braid. So once you have a whole stretch of half double crochet and you turn your work, do 1 more row of half double crochet. Oops, this is 2. Okay, yarn over, go to the first stitch, do your half double crochet. I think you do 2 rows will be enough. 3 rows I think will be too long because I still have the sides of the lettuce. Or if you just want to see 1 line of green, you can just crochet exactly the same pattern as this and you will get all the outline, green outline. Okay, I plan to put my lettuce this way. So certain parts you're going to have lettuce and certain parts you won't. So now I'm going to do the sides. Since this is a half double crochet, you can still see all this here. So I'm going to go to the next stitch and do a slip stitch. Okay, after this slip stitch, you're gonna chain. You can chain any number you like. You randomly, I will chain 3, chain 2, chain 1. Okay, like now, for example, I chain 2. You go back to the same stitch and do a slip stitch. Then you go to the next stitch. Whoops, this is too tight because it's the corner. Slip stitch, and then you chain, up to you, you can chain 5, chain 4, I think chain 5 will be too long. Do this, so you can see some greens chucking out here, like this, no fixed rule. So you go to the next stitch, you slip stitch, then you chain 1. Let's see chain 1 what happens. And it comes out like this, there's a small bump. Then you go to the next stitch, chain 3, then you go to the next. You're gonna do this all around. So when I place it here, certain parts you will see some greens checking out, exactly like how your actual sandwich would look like. So since I'm going to place it diagonally like this, so I will plan my all these parts, which part should have a chain 4 or chain 5. Like here, I won't be able to see it, so we can do a chain 2 or chain 3. But here, maybe you do some chain 5, chain 4, so that part of the leaves would chuck up. And a bit here. So I'll come back to you once I do this all around. Okay, the lettuce is all done. Isn't that cute? I'm gonna put it this way, like this. So when I cover it with another braid, you can see some greens here, none here, some greens here, and there's no green here. You can see a little bit green here. That's the whole purpose. I mean, when you eat sandwich, this looks more appetizing, right? Than to see all greens at all corner in the same manner. So now, if you want, this is optional. I'm going to do some ketchup. I do not have any other color. So for the sauce, if you have other color sauce, like maybe you're gonna make Thousand Islands or mayonnaise, I'm not sure. I have this color so far at the moment, so I thought this would make it even more colorful. If I put white, as in mayonnaise, well, it might not be so shine. I mean, like the color. So I thought that maybe after adding this, I add a bit of red. So it makes the whole thing kind of colorful instead of putting mayonnaise. Okay, so this is optional. By right, I mean with this few, even without the lettuce, you can already sew the bread together and make a good sandwich. A cute sandwich. And now I'm going to make some ketchup, which means I prefer the ketchup to spill, kind of drip only on certain place. You won't get the whole sandwich seeing red everywhere, every corner. So I'll have some drips here and here and here maybe. So let's see, here is a chain 10. So I'll make sure I'll do less than chain 10. Okay, this is a knot. I think I should make a chain 4, 5 maybe. Yeah, almost half of it. Okay, 6 then. I'm going to do half double crochet because it's faster. It's wider. You can do anyhow you like. This is just an idea. You can pluck some of this idea if you like. Okay, like this. No one is going to see it because this is already inside the sandwich. Now work my way back. And I work my way back. Okay, maybe I'll do half double crochet as well so that it gets broad. Okay, half double crochet. Then at this corner here, I'm gonna do a drip, like maybe 1. Let me do that again just to show you. This is a half double crochet. you have 3 stitches here. If I were to do a drip now, like a chain 3 thing, it will show a hole, right? Your ketchup is not supposed to have holes. So what I do is, since this is, I need to seal this half double crochet, I'm gonna chain 1 and go to the middle part here and do a single crochet. And you take a look and see this part here, it goes down. So I'll do a chain 2 or a chain 3, up to you. You go back to the same stitch and do a slip stitch and take a look and see, does this part kind of spill down? Well, let me do a chain 1 and pull tight first. Okay, this part is going to be inside the braid, it'll be hidden. Now I just want to test it out, test out my theory. So you see, okay, let's say I've add the meat, I've add the cheese, I've add the lettuce, and now the tomato sauce, or you can call it whatever sauce. See, it kind of spill down. You don't even need to make a stitch here, it will come down. That's why you only do 2 rows. So make sure this comes down. If it doesn't come down, you still have this to make 1 small stitch here. So when you cover this up with a braid, you'll see like, whoa, chili sauce spilling from my braid. And you can do 1 here maybe, or 1 here. So it's entirely up to you how you want to do this. It could be ketchup, it could be chili sauce. Okay, so I might do 2 more and I'll come back with the assembling parts. Okay, this is the first chili sauce or ketchup. This is the second one. Let me show you how to do the second one. This one is because I want this part to be broad, so that when it's at the side here, you can see kind of broad area that has ketchup and one part of it dripping. This one, I just want it to be on any of the corner here. So you see, actually it is it does curve like this. So let me show you how to do this in case you want a smaller one. I did sorry, I'm so used to magic ring. Make sure you get a smaller tail. Okay, I just chain 4. You don't have to chain a lot, just chain 4. 3 will be too short. So chain 4, and I did half double crochet on the second stitch from the hook. This is the first stitch, this is the second stitch. Just do half double crochet all the way down. And the top part here automatically cut, and you can leave it on your braid and the side of the braid. So you can do this with mayonnaise or Thousand Island, whichever color you have that you think it looks like a sauce. You know, sometimes you can find yarns that is so pretty, you can just turn it into anything. Then I just tie a knot and leave this tail inside, and I sew and just leave it inside and make sure it curls like this, and then assemble and put it together. Okay, now I'm gonna put it together, sew it together. Let's see, I'm going to, you can add whichever first, it doesn't really matter. Okay, let my lettuce here, and this tomato sauce will come in later when I'm sewing until that part, because it's kind of short, so it will fall off. So what I do is I am going to make one stitch here all the way down to here, like this. Can you see that? I am not going to sew all the way around, and only sew at those certain corners to hold it, and that's it. Let me put this tail inside and see if this spills out too much. Maybe like this. Maybe like this. Then you check again and see where you stop, and when you make a stitch, make sure you follow back these lines. Or okay, like here, I'm gonna do something about it later. So like here, either you push it in, it's the tail from the previous, so maybe make one stitch here so that that tail don't come off again, like this tail here. Push it way in, and if you're using glue, you can just glue it together now. So I'm going to make few stitches on every corner. I made one more stitch here because of that part just now. So I am going to make one more stitch here. And when you're doing your ketchup, if all face this way, make sure the rest of the ketchup face the other way. You can't have it like spilled upwards, right? Here, like this. And this one, you make sure it goes through the ketchup, because the ketchup is kind of short, so I make sure I'm going to do 2 stitches on it. Make sure these 2 stitches really make it go through this, like this, one here and one here, so it's really gonna hold it in place. Then make sure all this tail hides inside. So does it look nice? Does it look real? Maybe this one I'm going to make it go through the ketchup as well. Like this. Every single stitch you make sure it goes through all the layers and it looks neat. Did you see this stitch? Not really. Okay. Now you're gonna have this one here. Leave this part dangling first. I will sort that out later. So when you stitch, make sure you follow back the stitch. Make sure it goes through the vegetable and all the way until the braid. And here this. So make sure the stitches does not look as if, you know, does not look as if there's one great line there like sewing. So make sure you go through all the colors, and it doesn't really matter if this meat chucks out more than the other part. It's okay, it looks quite natural, and you do not need stuffing because it's quite stuffed up already. So I'll come back to you once I have this whole thing nicely assembled. But if you would like to use glue, and you have to be careful with this lettuce, you know, if it has some glue here, it might be kind of like hardened. I'm not sure, maybe it would. That's one of the reason why I do not like to use glue if possible. So I'll get back to you once I have all the corners fastened. Okay, I have sewed all around it. So the last stitch, make it go through all this, you know, like amigurumi. Make it go through a bit before you cut the yarn. And if you want to add this, it's up to you whether which part you want to hang it. You want this bite part or you want it to hang like this. All you have to do is make this go through one of these stitch. Oops, maybe this one. Make it go through one of these stitch, and you just make this go through the hole, then you can hang it on your back like this. Isn't this cute? So thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I look forward to seeing you in my next post.